Oh, I got one.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Brown and Browner. We've got the mid-May edition with a lot of things going on, including NBA basketball and playoffs, which is getting interesting. We got golf coming up with the PGA Championship starting today, which should be great. And we've got all sorts of other little stuff in the NFL and all sorts of good stuff going on.
Yeah, we do. But I have to comment to a couple of things right away.
Yep.
LeBron got swept.
Yep. Broom.
Just taken out. And granted, you can't blame it on LeBron. The best player is out. The team doesn't play real defense. And they were going up against the Thunder, which the Thunder is for real.
It's a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut. And this is the first father and son to get swept. We all talk about father and son first all the time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, first father and son to get swept out of the playoffs. Let's put that on there.
And I blame Bron because he sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who I blame. I blame the weakest link at the end of the day. It's
you wasted the draft pick on that dude.
Yeah, 41-year-old shouldn't have to carry your fucking team. That's crazy. And now on that same note, like you said, the Thunder, they're on a warpath. They're looking to take this title quick and easy right now. Now, could be a little bit of a matchup with the Spurs. We'll see how Wemby and the boys do. We'll talk about that in a second too.
Well, I think that the Thunder hasn't played anybody yet.
Agreed.
So it could hurt them that they have these short series, long rest periods. The best way to be fresh during the playoffs is to continue playing, not to rest, in my opinion.
Nope, I agree.
The other thing is, don't count Minnesota out. And I have to say this. I feel like there was a travesty done. There was some favoritism. There was some Yannick Sinner kind of stuff going on because
Wemby should have been suspended, right?
Did you see the elbow he threw? Now, granted, I know why he threw the elbow, and I blame the officials because they're allowing too much to go on. I remember watching Shaq and all of these big guys. It was like people would be on their arms, hanging on their arms, and they wouldn't call a foul.
Yep.
So he took it on his own hands, and I don't blame him for that. But imagine if anyone else that wasn't going to be the person of the NBA did that, would they be suspended?
Number one example, if that was Draymond Green, he's gone for 5 games.
Well, and that's the thing. But Draymond sort of has a reputation. But I think if anybody did that, they would suspend him for 1 game.
Rep or not, you're still talking about at least a game suspension by rule, by default.
That's right.
This is way too much favoritism and all that. And again, I don't blame Wemby for his action. But the NBA is who I blame. Because now they're playing into a narrative of their own doing, which is ridiculous. And that just tells me that everything that a young 10-year-old me was true. The NBA is rigged.
I don't know if it's rigged, but I do feel this. While there's always been this understanding that when you get to the playoffs, the playoffs is a different kind of game. It's more physical, it's this and that. But I've seen some stuff where I've seen it on both sides where the ref calls a foul in one instance, doesn't call a foul in another instance. And that inconsistency has got to be maddening if you're the team that's not getting the calls. And the disparity in free throws is ridiculous.
Let's talk about last night. Did you see that Pistons game?
I did not, actually. I was out.
I don't know if you caught the highlight on it, but end of game, couple seconds left, and
I caught the highlight.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous. He got tripped.
Exactly, and that's what pissed me off. And again, bad reffing, poor calls. I mean, I get what you just said. You just said that the playoffs called her a little bit differently. I mean, I get it. I get the optics, I get the pressure, and I get all that. But the game is the game.
Right.
You call it for the rules that they are. You don't change the rules.
Yeah, the rules of the game didn't change. You're not going to allow somebody to take 5 steps instead of the 4 you're letting them do.
Exactly. So, no, I'm getting frustrated with watching the NBA and how it's being reffed right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And frankly, it takes away from the sportsmanship of the game at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a good physical game. I'm from that era. Played in that era. I'm not a professional player, but I played ball and it was physical. But it's getting ridiculous now. You're almost waiting for somebody to get into a fight because the referees aren't setting the tone of the game. They're letting the players set the tone.
Yep. No, and that's what after these last 2 nights, I'm kind of frustrated with watching the playoffs in that sense. And that's where, frankly, I enjoyed the first 2 series between the Thunder and the Lakers because Thunder just kicked their butts, and the Knicks honestly just blew the building off Philadelphia.
They can make the finals and lose.
It wasn't even just the play of the game. The fandom is what frustrated me in that series.
Oh, you mean like New York's fans just taking over the Phillies?
They just said, "Screw you all, we own this city."
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird because Philly's known for their fanatic fans, but boy, the New York man. I'm surprised I didn't see anything in the news of like clashes outside of the stadium after the game, because these New York fans took that stadium over.
Having spent time going to games in Philadelphia for my own team's viewerships, whether it's the Cardinals, Chiefs, whatever it is, Philly, I respect the fandom there, but honestly, y'all are embarrassed. Y'all were embarrassed to a fault where I don't have no more respect for you. You got taken over by New York Knicks fans who've been waiting since 1976 or 74, whatever it is.
72.
Sorry. I'm old.
Well, I have to say this. It was really surprising. I don't blame the Philly fans, and I'll tell you why. There was so much hope that when they beat Boston, and I want to talk about Boston for a second, but there was so much hope when they beat Boston, and then they just got their asses handed to them by the Knicks.
The 76ers and their fan base have been set up for failure ever since the old days of the process. I mean, screw the process. That's what
totally agree.
Up for this whole thing, because honestly, they've been tricked into a lie for well over a decade now, I believe, if it's not longer. And then you're like,
$100 million later, they haven't won a championship. They haven't even gotten out of the second round.
This is and again, that second round, this was a fluke this year, in my opinion, too. And we'll talk about that in a second because of Boston's own ineptitude.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about this real quick. Yeah. So Boston loses. And Brown comes out and basically says, this is the best team that, I don't know why we changed what we were doing, reading between the lines to fit Jason Tatum back in when we were doing okay. And that's what screwed us up. And I love these guys. Jason wasn't with him. Yeah. Jason, just yesterday or the day before yesterday, comes out and says, they ask him, what is your goal? Like, what, you've already achieved the championship. What are you actually playing for? And he says, because he wants another championship and he wants to be the MVP. Mm-hmm. What is that telling you? One of these things aren't going to stay here, because if your player that just came back is saying he wants to be MVP because he didn't get MVP because Brown got it, and Brown's saying, I like the way we were playing before this guy came back. Yep. Something's going on there, and these two grew up together in the NBA.
I'll give you a fun little question then. If you have to choose one to build your franchise around going forward, who do you choose?
Given Tatum's injury history, and I never felt like he was that much better than Brown to begin with, and Brown carried the team while he was out. True. I have to give it to Brown. I would put my money on Brown.
Given this season, I give it to Brown. If you would have asked me the same question last year, I would have said Tatum, only on the fact that Brown tends to disappear at times. At least he did in the past. But now he's become that consistent player, and when he was allowed to be, I guess, the leader of the team this year, he became that alpha dog this year. So honestly, I give him credit for that. And Tatum, like you said, injury risk, we know that. He's always been kind of a me player in that sense. I don't know if
he sure is, and he requires the ball a lot.
Exactly. So he's not that off-ball guy that can help and build player around him, that kind of thing. So if I'm Boston, I'm building around Jaylen Brown.
I would too. So you hear that, Celtics? Although I've never liked the Boston Celtics.
Now there's rumors.
Growing up,
there's rumors that spells a ripe little trade situation. You go after that big guy in Milwaukee.
And that's what they said on one of these shows. Like, okay, well, then you could send either one of them over to Milwaukee, and you get with a couple other players in a draft package or something, and you can get the Greek Freak. Yep. Honestly, they could use somebody like that in Boston.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah. To me, it's a no-brainer. You go get a big, you help out Jaylen Brown. Holy crap. I
think that helps the team because there's only one ball. But if you have the ability to play inside and outside, then you really can do some damage. But if you got two players who need the ball who are on the outside, hello, Kevin Durant and every team you've been on, that's going to take your team down.
Kevin, I'm going to say a controversial statement. Kevin Durant's the whore of the NBA. Just him with James Harden.
I mean, how many teams have they been on?
Exactly.
And how many times have they won?
Exactly.
And tell me which one of them, the kind of money you pay these players, they should be leaders. You don't pay followers or role players that kind of money.
Why do you think we never talk about
like that to me?
Why do you think we never talk about Kevin Durant in the narrative of top 10 NBA player ever? We don't. Even though he might statistically in some categories.
Oh, yeah, sure. And at one point, he was the best player in the NBA with LeBron in the league.
Yeah, but only when he was not a second person to another team, like whoring himself out with another team, basically, with Booker, with Steph, with whatever, basically. It was when he was actually wanting to be the leader, like OKC, basically. So to that point, yeah, he ruined himself, no question. James Harden, the king of strip clubs. I mean, that man, he's resurrecting himself this week. It's kind of cool to see.
He has, but it still just freaks me out.
Yeah,
his still beard is like this. And you know what? You may not remember this, but I grew up back in the age of, Johnny Quest as a cartoon. And Johnny Quest, these cartoons, for those who don't know this, they would basically have like a still picture and just the lips would move. And the lips were really small and red, and they would go, you hear they would talk and blah, blah, blah. And you look at James Harden, I was sitting with my wife, we were watching the game, and it's like, how did you get his lips in that? Like, and it's everything else is just black forest. And then
there's stuff living in there that we don't know about. That's what I see.
There's what?
There's stuff living in there that we don't know about.
Oh, hell yeah. They should like devote his beard to science, because I'm sure there are organisms that haven't been identified yet that have lived in that beard for a while. And some of it is foodborne, because I'm sure he's not catching every bit of food. And I think that beard is just like gobbling it up and then just sucking it in. And I bet you can reach in there and pull out something.
As much as I'll give him some credit, and I don't give him all the credit in the world for having a good jump shot and everything else, the dude is a defensive liability. But it's funny that somehow he's made it work for Cleveland, where he can still function in that team. And then you got Donovan Mitchell playing enough defense, and the rest of those boys, and the middle and everything else that Cleveland's got. That series gets interesting now with that win yesterday, a controversial win at that, obviously, because I think the Pistons.
That was some garbage at the end.
Yeah.
That I think this, quite frankly, I mean, Cleveland just needs to win one game out of two.
And that's the thing, and that's where I think Cleveland honestly might pull the series at this point, because they're going back home for Game 6, which is scary.
Right.
And in Detroit, honestly, doesn't have a second fiddle. That's the problem. Cade does not have help, unfortunately.
Well, and that's the glaring issue with Detroit is, Dorian can play inside, but he's not a scorer. What's his name? The twin, Thompson.
Oh, sorry.
He's not really a scorer. The Robinson, okay, he can hit, but he's hot and cold. It's not like he's Ray Allen.
Exactly.
So, if they go cold, Cade, and they double team Cade, and as soon as they double team Cade, they went 0 for 8 at the end of the game.
Yep.
So that tells you everything you need to know.
I'm curious to see how Bickerstaff and those guys can even work around that, because they failed at it so far throughout the series, unfortunately. And I mean, that's what made them go to Game 7 in the first place in round 1 too, which was unfortunate. This is just being stressed. And frankly, whoever does make it out of the series, they're bound for a 4-1 loss to the Knicks at this point in the Eastern Conference, because the Knicks are coming in, like I said, rested. They get OG Anunoby back rested, and
they get OG back, yeah.
This team is blowing teams out. It's not like they're just,
Yeah. And they're scoring West Coast. They're scoring Western Conference points and playing Eastern Conference defense.
Exactly, and that's what I like about. I mean, it's hard for me to say, but I think the Knicks are going to the finals. I don't think they're going to win the finals.
I don't think they're going to win either.
I think they're going to the finals at this point.
But I would have said Detroit once Cade came back. Yeah. But honestly, neither one of those teams looked really good, and the New York has been very consistent.
If anyone's going to put up a fight against the West at this point, it's the Knicks and not Cleveland or Detroit. I mean,
I would agree. If either one of those teams win, they are going to get swept by whatever Western team comes, whether it's the Spurs, Minnesota, or Oklahoma City. So, hey, real quick, to pivot to a different sport that we have, when the major championships hit, that's when it's really the highlight and what highlights a particular sport, whether it's and I only say this for tennis and golf, because you generally have that in those areas. You don't other ones, team sports and whatever. But I heard something about, do you think the live golfers have a chance? And then they like to talk that up. I'm sorry, they don't. Rory's got a blister on his foot that apparently has been bothering him for a little bit. So I'm taking him out of contention. This might be the chance for Scotty to actually win a tournament this year.
what did he kick? They're saying that blister's under his toenail, and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? That's just gross.
I don't know. I don't know. Pinky sex? I don't know.
Something weird. But no, I feel bad for Rory in that sense. I still think he's going to compete well, honestly, because from what I'm reading about the course, it's a long ball course up in Philly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's
playing like 7,400 yards, I think it was.
Yeah, to me, that means he could still be blasted. He might lose a little focus around the greens or something because of his toe, but honestly, he's still going to be knocking 300 yards off the tee, in my opinion, which makes him a contender at the end of the day.
Only if he hits it straight. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know.
Your base is everything in golf. So if your base isn't solid, you may hit some errant shots here and there.
Agreed.
I say watch out for Cameron Young. He's proven that he can hang in there. He's got the length. He's got the temperament. And I think that he really, I expect him, and I expect somebody that we haven't seen recently, but has always been great in the majors and a great player, is Schauffele. I think it's one of those two guys are going to win. That's my guess. It's
funny you mentioned those four because those four are the ones I picked for top 10 finishes. My bets.
There you go.
They're consistent performers at the end of the day. Between Scheffler, I think is going to be in it in the top 3, top 5. No questions asked. He'll be a contender no matter what because he's Scotty Sunday. There's no question.
Right.
Rory, if he can stay and healthy enough to kind of get through the course, maybe he's in that mix. Schauffele's just been consistent, flat out. Cam Young's on fire. That kid's
Cam Young's on fire because he's been in contention in almost every tournament I've seen him play.
Yep. So no, it's gonna be fun to watch, and frankly, none of the live golfers. Notice I haven't mentioned a damn one because they ain't coming. Everybody's got DeChambeau tees off at 8 a.m. Don't care. I mean, he's entertainment. He's not gonna be a contender.
No, not unless he can figure out how to actually drive it to 400 yards straight. Yeah, exactly. He does look like that. He totally does look like that.
Popeye over here swinging through. I tried doing that over the weekend on the driving range. It's hard, man. I got to have more natural flow.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather have natural flow and hit it left and right than do what he's doing.
Absolutely. Hey,
but no, I think
it's great golf this weekend, to say the least.
I just wanted to say we got a lot of sports that we didn't get a chance to talk about. We've got the World Cup coming up. There's a lot of sports on tap that are coming. Even some Formula One NASCAR stuff that's coming up as well.
French Open.
Yeah, French Open tennis we got coming up.
I'll make it less about the men's and more about the women's on that side. I'm loving the play of let me rephrase that. 2 African-American women, to say the least, maybe 3. I'll throw in Coco in there as well, kind of as an extra, because honestly, she's always a contender. That's great. Look out for Haley Baptiste. That girl's starting to impress me. She's a serving volleyer. Thank God.
Hey, what? Nobody does that anymore in tennis.
This girl, she killed.
Well, I'd love to see. I want to see some of that play. We'll get a chance to talk about it next week, but I do have an appointment that I need to make, everybody. And I wish everyone a wonderful day. Get outside, enjoy life, and make a difference by doing something. Meet someone today that you would never know in life. Maybe you can help change the world.
I'm going to my second ever horsey race. I'm going to the Preakness only because it's 15 minutes from my house now since they changed the location.
Oh, nice.
Go Taj Mahal. The kid's won 7 races. He's a locally bred horse. We'll see what happens.
Well, they don't have the Kentucky Derby winner there too, so that might be helpful. Yeah.
Yep. So no, lots of sports this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Great weather outside. This is that peak time of year where summer's about to kind of kick off. Everybody should be having fun. Stay safe. More importantly, there's a lot of stuff going on, hantavirus, all that crazy stuff. Stay safe and have some fun with it.
Yep. Positive thoughts lead to positive actions and positive outcomes.
Yep.
Keep that in mind.
Yep. We'll be back next week with a recap. Hopefully we'll be teeing off the NBA finals by the time we're back.
Yes, we will.
Yep. Catch you guys later.